Hello and welcome guys. Let's run ourselves back through the attachments in PUBG and take a much deeper dive into the weapons. In my last video I tested many guns but only a few samples. It appears for some reason that we need more conclusive evidence and testing, something I am only too happy to deliver. So let's start this series off. The M416, considered by many to be the most versatile weapon in the game, subjectively the best AR in the game and certainly one of the easiest to use and control. It has many slots for attachments and this may leave you wondering which ones work best. Let's take a deep dive into the attachments and see exactly what comes out on top. Starting with the reload. I covered this in my previous video that looked through all assault rifles in much less detail, which we will look much deeper in for this and newer videos. The M4's reload has not changed at all, and so the results from that test still hold true as you can see here. But let's add an additional test for how quick the reload is when timing it to a ready to fire state as well. For this test, I reloaded and mashed my fire button to try and make the weapon shoot the instant it was ready. This worked out pretty good and gave some interesting results. So with a complete reload, we do once again see some variation in the reload times. However, we can see that over a normal magazine, the quick draw has about half a second advantage for both a full and half reload, where the extended quick draw has about 0.6 of a second advantage. So depending on your setup and playstyle, you may find some of these attachments useful. Moving on to spraying, the M416 can accept many attachments, and this makes it very versatile, but we do need to know which ones work best. Typically, the M416 will be used for close quarters spraying. To keep things fair, I use the iron sights for these tests. Starting with the muzzle attachments. Here is a sample of 10 sprays and around 300 bullets mashed together for each attachment. There's some overlap here which makes viewing a little difficult, so I went ahead and made them into a tree instead. This makes it much easier to analyse. It comes as no surprise that the compensator is the best attachment for spraying. Its recoil reduction is, however, very closely matched by the flash hider, with only a single spray veering off to the right. This is very competitive, and I would argue that the compensator is not worth grabbing if you're in a hurry, since the flash hider is damn good as well, and it also reduces the muzzle flash. The suppressor clearly has no impact on recoil whatsoever, and the stock alone helps a little but will add a considerable amount of horizontal sway. If using a stock, I would strongly recommend the compensator. Let's take a look at the grips for spraying. The grips can control the recoil in several ways and are key to maintaining a good spray that remains on target until your enemy is dead. These patterns are also very cluttered. Let's make them into trees as well. Now that we can see these a little better, we can see a very nice pattern emerges from the half grip and vertical grip. Both of these are extremely low on recoil. The surprising grip is the angled. There's almost no horizontal movement here at all. Vertical recoil can be compensated for by pulling down on your mouse, but you can never anticipate horizontal movement in a spray, and so I think the angled takes victory here, closely followed by the half grip since it also keeps things a little tighter than the vertical. As a backup, the thumb grip is good too, with a happy medium of both horizontal and vertical recoil. Using the lightweight for spraying is not a recommendation I can make. Now for spraying, while I would advise the angled being the best grip, there are many people that really enjoy using longer range scopes with the M416, myself included. I play best with the 6X, and this means that the vertical grip is a much better idea to steady the larger scopes. So as always, remember that while this data gives you a good indicator of what to use, attachments are a personal preference. On to semi-auto tapping, something the M416 can excel at as well. The data plotted here is 30 rounds shot at the same target with the same starting point shown in yellow. The green bar shows the highest point the reticle reached, and the red cross shows its resting position. A few things to note: the shorter the gap here, the faster the recovery time, and the easier and faster you can fire off accurate shots. Also, if the average for the red cross is much higher than the start point, then you have more distance to cover to bring your aim back to your target. Looking at the data, it's a little confusing. There's a clear change with the stock for the M416 as it certainly decreases the highest point, but the resting positions all look very similar. To make this easier to read, I surrounded each set of points with a coloured box like so. And when we put these together, it becomes a lot easier to read. Looking at the new data, it is very clear the stock gives a good reduction in vertical recoil. This is a standalone attachment though, so looking at the muzzles, a couple of things are quite clear. First, although there is some variation in the horizontal movement, it's not by a great amount. The compensator takes the victory with the tightest blocks, and it is shown again that the suppressor has no effect on recoil and should only be used for stealth. Moving on to the grips, and the data is much more varied, with different attachments giving different readings. While we can read this data, the smaller details still remain hidden, so let's make these into boxes, and again, put them together. Straight away we can see two things. First, the lightweight is a clear winner with its fast reduction in semi-auto control and recoil reduction. The vertical grip, a close second, and probably much more use if you're shooting a weapon on semi-auto at fast pace. The second thing we can see is that the horizontal movement of the grips is almost identical through a sample of 30 rounds each. This typically means that any grip giving horizontal control will be almost pointless. With the clear winners being the lightweight and the vertical, these are definitely the grips to use for semi-auto tapping. But again, don't forget, attachments are a personal preference. I hope this guide has helped you better understand the versatility of the M416 and how its attachments can best be used to assist you on the battlegrounds. There are very few situations that an M416 can't help you, and it certainly is one of my favourite weapons. Looking through the data, there were a few things that caught my eye, and I've learnt a lot about this weapon on the way. Take your newfound knowledge with you into your next game and grab that chicken dinner. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you next time.